Welcome to my podcast, or welcome back to my podcast, depending on if this is your first time here or if you have continued to follow me on this road to who knows. Welcome to episode 3 of the Nellyville podcast, brought to you by $10 Sounds. I think this is the first time I've said that. Episode 3. And I'm only just now saying Nellyville podcast presented by $10 Sounds. Well, there you go. And let's just get right into it. So, what are we talking about today? So, if you've read the title, you might think you have a little bit of an idea of what we are doing here today. And you may be right because you're smart. You are intuitive. And if this is your third episode in of listening to me, if you watch my YouTube channel, if you follow me on socials, your guess might be right. But let's see. Okay? So, professional BSing, professional bullshitting. Okay? We don't like to do a lot of the cussing, but hey, I'm grown. I don't know if you grown, but I'm grown. So therefore, You see me, you feel me, you hear me, What is professional BSing? Well, one might say it's faking it till you make it. Another person might say you're a fraud. Someone else might say you have some swag. Some people might say you're persuasive. Some people might say you need a little bit of it to make it in this world, okay? I'm going to explain to you what it is to me. Maybe talk a little bit about how it works for me, how it has worked for me. That makes sense, right? That we talk about that, okay? So let's start from the beginning, okay? Faking it until you make it. That little motto will get you so far in life. It will get you so far. There is actually an interview, and a lot of you have probably seen it. How many Rihanna fans do we have? Who's not a fan of Rihanna? You might not listen to her all the time. You might not be able to name 5 songs. But I think it's safe to say that everyone is a fan to a degree of Rihanna. So, needless to say, there is an interview of hers, and the reporter asks her, "So, Rihanna, when you don't feel your best, when you feel insecure, how do you get past those moments?" And she says, "Pretend." That simple. Even Rihanna, okay? Miss Bad Girl Riri. Look, everybody has those days, but there's some people in this world that you think, come on, there's no way they do. But they do. The Rihannas of the world, the Barack Obamas of the world, okay? The Mileys, the Melissa Joan Harts, they have those days, okay? So, instead of looking at it as, well, if the Rihannas of the world have those days, what chance does little old me stand? Huh? Well, that's not the way to look at it. They are human, just like us. And look at it as, if they can overcome, why can't I? It makes what maybe seemed unreachable or impossible to overcome, your faves can do it. Let that be an example. You get what I'm saying? So Rihanna tells the reporter, let me finish saying what she says. So she says she pretends. And she says, well, why not? Because what's the alternative to that? I pretend until I actually feel it again. Because the alternative to that is to cry yourself to sleep. And who wants to go to bed crying? And look at it. Sometimes we all gotta cry ourselves to sleep sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But the point is that confidence and drive and just being positive. Sometimes all you have is to pretend, right? And if you do get down, you don't stay in it. You let yourself feel what you need to feel, but you pull yourself out of that. And I think that was a good lesson. And I think that it is really good when our faves, when celebrities and public figures, and it is really refreshing when high status people humanize themselves. Because she could have lied and played it off, right? She could have sat there and said, oh, I'm Rihanna. What is that? No confidence. Oh, just be confident. She could have BS, but I think that it was more impactful. She didn't give us this sob story. Said, well, actually, I'm not really all that. No, she kept it real, but she also gave y'all a little bit of advice. You know what I mean? And that's what it's about. Faking it until you make it, until it becomes real. Turn it on. Be an actress. Be an actor. Be a great pretender. You want that job and you don't necessarily have all the qualifications that were listed on the website. Go in there and pretend like you don't even need those qualifications. Pretend like, oh, baby, I got so much better to offer you than what you listed. Get in there. Teach yourself and figure it out, right? Confidence is contagious not only to other people when you put it out there or you picking it up from somebody else. It's contagious to yourself. You pretend like you have confidence long enough, it's just going to become second nature. You have to get out of your head. You have to get in a way disassociate from yourself or from the situation, or both, some combination. So that's a little bit of the positives of professional BSing, faking it till you make it. That's a little bit of the positive side, but to every positive is a negative. That's basic elementary school stuff, right? So from professional BSing, if not done correctly, it can turn into procrastination. It can create a false sense of oneself and cause you to not be honest with yourself in a way that is not beneficial. So yeah, faking it till you make it is a form of, maybe one might say lying to yourself, but not really, because it's done with the intention of you're trying to embody something so that you learn what that feels like, so that you can have that thing for real. So to do it the right way, to be a professional BSer the right way, okay? To fake it till you make it the right way. You cannot forget to put in the work. You have to figure out, how can I learn this skill? How can I learn how to do this thing or that thing? You have to continue to practice. Practice what you preach. Practice your craft. You still have to put in the work. And you can't wait till the last minute to put in the work. Another part of being a professional bullshitter is it's all about balance. You don't want to get to the point where you're procrastinating because you feel like, oh, okay, well, I can finesse my way through everything. There's finessing, and then there's being a professional BSer. You could be a professional finesser too, but to finesse, sometimes that leans more to a negative connotation, because it kind of sounds like, oh, I finessed my way through that. It almost sounds like, oh, I got something or got somewhere that maybe I didn't really deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Not always, but A little bit of it is how it's implied, at least with the way that society and pop culture talks about finessing, which it kind of implies like, oh, I did some sneaky stuff. And that's not what being a professional BSer is about, okay? Yes, it is about figuring out how you can work smarter and not harder, and learning how to weed out the stuff that you don't really need to do. But one of the most important things that I learned, was it in college or in high school, somewhere around that time, it was college, in order to break the rules. And before you can break the rules, you have to know the rules. You have to know the ins and outs. And this applies to anything. You cooking a new dish, you need to know the proper way that dish is made before you go adding and taking away stuff and experiment. We all want to experiment and make things our own. But what makes you a better experimenter, what makes you better at that, and what makes you successful is when you know what the original blueprint was. No, or if you don't take the time to learn the blueprint of something, or the way that something is meant to be done, you're going to end up trying to recreate the wheel. You're going to end up wasting time. Now, recreating something or trying to reinvent something, sure, it can help you understand the ins and outs. So when you're experimenting in the name of, let me see how that person got to this point. If you want to do it in the sense of, well, let me recreate this, let me do this my way so I can really understand the mindset behind something, then that is okay. But to just say, oh, I want to, let's just say, you want to make a beat, like an instrumental for a song. Sure, you can buy the software and some plugins and the computer and the gear, and you can just dive in and teach yourself. Sure. But it would save you a lot of time if you took the time to just learn the basics, because somebody already figured it out for you. You could spend 2 hours trying to figure out how to create a certain sound, or you could just go to YouTube, type in that specific thing, and see if somebody else already figured it out. Then once you learn the basis of how to create that sound, then you can take it and spend more time on the creative part of manipulating it to your own vision. And that's not just for music, and it's not just for anything creative. Okay? This can apply to anything new, a new job, raising kids, your marriage, somebody. Okay, let's be honest. This is, by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be 2022. It is 2022. There's not a whole lot of original anything anymore. Okay, humans have been around long enough that it's not an original thought, and because we have the internet, we have social media, and we are all so connected, it's really, really easy to figure out who has been through the same obstacle, who is going through or has went through, who has overcome a problem that you are facing. And how did they get through it? Did they get through it? What did they do? What did these people do? And you don't have to stop at one answer. Figure out, okay, well, I'm having an issue with this. And maybe you might read an article about what someone did to solve it, but you didn't like the route that they took, but you liked the part of it. And then you read another article, and then you look at a Twitter post, and then you read a book on it, and you look at some vlogs, and you might find that there was no one concrete thing that you took away just from one person. You might have found a bunch of different tidbits from a bunch of different sources that you can put together that will help you solve your unique problem, because we are all unique. And while the human experience is we're all going through this together and we can relate on a lot of things, but just as much as we can relate, things are just as individualized, right? But all of that to say, don't ever think that you know everything, and never think that you don't have room to grow. Some things come natural to some people. Other people have to work very hard at some things. But just because you have a natural ability at anything or at a lot of things, it doesn't mean that you cannot benefit and learn from someone else or from something else. Sure, diving into something cold turkey can be fun if you want it to be fun. Can it be lucrative? Can it be beneficial? Can it turn into something? Can you be completely self-taught at something? Because I know a lot of people say, well, not everybody has access to specific types of education. Not everybody has access to particular resources. And that is a big issue all around the world. So does that mean just because you don't have access to certain resources, does that mean that you are doomed because you cannot figure out what the blueprint was? You don't have access to figure out what the fundamentals are? Does it mean that you're doomed, that you shouldn't even? No. Teach yourself as much as you can. Ask God to help you and direct you and guide you. God will put the resources and the people in your path that you need to propel you and to provide you the information that you need to get to the next level. Use what you have available to you. The point is to use what you have. If that's just neighbors in a church community, if that's just a morning talk show, if it's just a podcast, if all you have is you and your relationship with God guiding you, that's enough. And you have to remember that that's enough. Sometimes, hey, look, sometimes we forget to ask for help. A lot of us think, dang, I'm always begging, always asking for something, which that's what God is there for. He wants to help you. He wants to fight your battles, But at the same time, sometimes we forget to ask about the simple things. Ask about the simple things. We ask about the big things. And thank them always. Look, it's always okay to go off on a tangent on the Lord. So, find that balance. Okay? All that to say, the main point here. Find the balance. Alright? Figure out how to be the most efficient. Don't do double work. Don't try to recreate the wheel. Okay? Don't rest on your laurels. A big part of being a professional BSer is not resting on your laurels, doing a good job and be like, I've done enough. Be proud of what you do, of your accomplishments, sure. But when you accomplish one goal, set another goal. So let's talk about goals for a second. We all have big goals, or we had them. Some of us, don't look. I think in the last podcast I talked a little bit about, it ain't never too late to pick up where you left off, or don't feel like you gotta let go because you feel like time, whatever, right? But let's talk about goals. Sure, have your big dreams, out of this world, extraordinary goals. Have that, okay? But the big ones don't always happen overnight. God can make up for the time lost, but big things are most of the time not accomplished when we think they should be. Does it mean it has to take eons and eons? No. But while you are trying to get to that massive goal, have the little tiny ones. Any sense of accomplishment gives you a boost in energy, a boost of drive. Feels good. If your only goal is the big ones, if you only set yearly goals, you're gonna have a long year. You're gonna have a long 6 months. Sometimes you have to start small because you can't predict the future. You can't predict what things could go wrong, right? So if you set a goal for yourself, a year goal or a 2-year goal, and life happens and you get set back, you may find that you get very discouraged. And then the time you take to work through that discouragement or that disappointment sets the goal back even further. And then it's a constant loop until you can break out of that loop. So you need the small goals so you have something closer to hit. You have something closer to reach. And then you have that motivation to keep going. The more goals you set, the smaller the goal, the easier it is to make progress because you can see the progress. Now, everyone's different. For some people, a daily goal is too much and it can feel overwhelming. So you don't want to overwhelm yourself. But some people, with the way that their mind works, you have to have a goal every day or else nothing will get done. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before. Every successful person in this world, yeah, they have their goals up in their mind. Sure, that's where they start, your thoughts. But everybody who is successful wrote their goals down. You have to write them down. I suggest writing them down, really putting pen to paper, putting pencil, put crayon marker, lipstick, eyeliner to paper. Physically write it out because it's a power in writing things out. But at the very least, type it out. Put it in your phone. But make sure if you're going to put it in your phone, put it somewhere in your phone that it will transfer over should you lose that phone. Which most things transfer over these days. So they should not be an issue. And that's a good place to have it because most of us, let's be honest, a phone is an extension of us these days. And you always have it. So you can constantly check on your goals and you can check them out. These can be goals for weight loss. It can be goals for learning a new subject, practicing a craft, lifestyle goals, whatever. Type it out, write it down. If weekly goals it works for you, fine. But I would say do at least. I would say set weekly goals, but at the very least, do 2-week goals. And it doesn't have to be a lot. If you set 2 goals to accomplish sometime over the course of 2 weeks, do that. Right? And build from there. So have your large goal and then figure out what it's going to take. What milestones do you need to hit to get to that big kahuna goal? Those big goals, okay? Also understand that you plan and you plan and you strategize. But you stick to the plan as much as you can, right? Right? You don't let go of the main goal. But the path along the way, you can't be so married to your goals that you just completely disrail if the route changes a little bit. Going back to where I said, well, God will make up for lost time. If you put something down and you picked it up and you thought you lost 15 years, you come up with a plan, God might change that plan. God might move some things and do some things that he might skip you the 15 steps and make up for those years that you thought you lost. Also, life happens. So you plan so that in the meantime, you have something to focus on. You provided structure for yourself. But be open and be prepared to anything. You know, some people are so married to their ideas and what they think their blueprint is that, you know, they dismiss perfectly great opportunities that may get them to where they're trying to go faster or, you know, a more enjoyable route. But that's where the balance comes in. Some people look for the easy way out. Sometimes it's all about hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. And that's just the only way that you're going to get there, because that's how you are supposed to get there. But that doesn't mean that if you didn't blood, sweat, and tears to get to that goal, that doesn't mean that you don't deserve it. You have some people, okay, let's look at the D'Amelio sisters, the TikTokers, Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio, okay? Or any of the TikTokers. Let's just pick on TikTokers for a second. You have a lot of young kids, and you have some other people too, but it's basically young teenagers who have gained a lot of fame, a lot of success quickly, seemingly overnight, where they have all kinds of opportunities, lots of money, lots of fame, lots of just glamorous things thrown their way. But a lot of them feel a guilt. They feel like, because, you know, it's human nature to feel this way, but also you have a lot of jealous people in their comments telling them, well, you don't deserve that, you didn't work for it. It's people out here taking acting classes for years and paying lots of money to go to these schools to be able to even think about getting the opportunities you have just been handed. But just because they are 15, 16, 22, that doesn't mean that they don't deserve it. That was just their path. Does that mean that they will not have to sweat and bleed and fight for something else? No. That's not what that means. It's just for this particular blessing in their life, it was for them, and so they have it. So don't ever feel like, wow, something came really easy to me. Oh, this car came really easy to me. This money, this house, everything just seemed to fall into place. You deserved it. What's for you will be for you. It will find you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Okay? No matter how hard you worked or didn't work, if you got it, you deserved it. Now, unless you was out here plotting and scheming and skilling and stealing and killing and doing the most to get that, no, you probably didn't. But if you got good intentions and you were out here doing right, then whatever you got, but then that's between you and God, how easy it came to you. And sometimes people think things came easy to you. It's not for you to sit up here and prove to people, it ain't come easy to me. You don't know about the 15 years I worked. Look, share your story to be a motivation, but don't share your story to try to prove a point to people, because they ain't nobody. You know the truth. Now, you want to be an inspiration to someone and say, hey, even I can do it, and this is where I came from. These were my struggles. These were my obstacles. If you want to be a motivation and show people in your community, whatever community you may be a part of, that, hey, I can do that too. So can you. Then, okay. But don't just be trying to. And then some people like to pretend like they had a show. Look, whatever, right? We're talking about professional bullshitting. I am a professional BSer, if you haven't guessed. Yes, I am. And that's why I want to talk about it, because I've always been this way. And it works for me. Why am I this way? Well, lots of reasons. One, where can I begin? Look, some of it came from family. My mother, my aunt, some friends. They didn't do extra. They did what needed to be done in a timely manner and did it with integrity. You have to play the game, right? When you're in school, a lot of us figure out, when we're in elementary, middle, high school, we realize very quickly that they ask us to do a lot of things that just make no sense. They ask us to do a lot of things that we're like, okay, when am I going to use this? And sometimes we're like, oh, okay, I really did actually need that lesson. But there's a lot of, filler stuff to either fill the days of school, tie up, from one lesson to the next, or because it looks good on paper. They put you through a lot of hoops and whistles. Now, some kids are like, I'm not doing that. For what? What is the point? Well, the point is, sometimes it's the process. Okay? Now, listen, this is what I'm talking about when I say you have to play the game to win. Yeah, they ask you to do some stuff that don't make no sense. We know this. They ask us to do stuff most of us would never use a day in our lives. But and some people feel like, well, it's just teaching you to go out and work in a cubicle and just to follow the herd. Yes and no. But to be able to get in the spaces that you need to get in and mingle with the people you want to mingle with, you want to be a chameleon. Walk it like a talker. Walk it like a talker. You know what I'm saying? Be street smart, but have that book smart. Have the little, what's the word? Have the corporate, at least know the corporate mindset, so you can play that game. Right? So, yeah, so for my young listeners, if you were in school and they're asking you to do some stuff that, man, you like, man, for what? Do it. Just do it. Because school is a very small part of your life. God willing, you have a long and prosperous life. Even if you go to college, even if you go to grad school, even people who go to law school and medical school, school is such a small piece of your life. So instead of wasting time complaining like, man, I don't feel like, just do it, dog. Even if you look, I don't want to tell kids to half-ass on schooling, but all I'm saying is, even if you do it and get a C, even if you get a D on it. Now, I know a lot of schools you got to get at least a C. A D is still considered failing, but that's, whatever. Even if you don't get an A on it, it does not matter. Do what you got. I know, just stick with me. I'm getting somewhere here. Even if you don't ace whatever that assignment is, even if you don't put your 100% into it, which you should always put your 100% into. I know I'm contradicting myself, but just stick with me. When it comes to school, especially college and grad school and higher education, do what you got to do to pass the classes and to get the piece of paper. Because when you go to the jobs, and a lot of people say, well, you don't need a college. And a lot of things you don't. A lot of things you don't need the college degree. But I'm going to talk about the other benefits of college besides the paper, okay? Do what you got to do to get through the class, to get the piece of paper. Because once you get the piece of paper, when you go to the jobs and stuff, they're not going to, most jobs, 9 times out of 10, baby, they're not gonna ask you the GPA, okay? They're not gonna ask you what grade you got on that 10-page paper, baby. They're not gonna ask you what you learned from that lab. They're just gonna see that you made it through that, and what that says to them is that you are dedicated and that you are loyal and that you are willing to try new things and that you are willing to learn and that you stick with stuff. It just shows that you are built different. Because honestly, most jobs, they retrain you anyway. And any job that you will ever have, you will have to have training for that specific job. Yeah, what you learn in college, some things will translate and you will use it. It will be beneficial to you. Duh. But don't be afraid if you went through college and all you got was C's and you're like, man, I don't really do some extra studying, watch the little YouTube videos, go sit in on a couple seminars or whatever. Do what you take some workshops or whatever you want to do, because everyone learns differently. And traditional schools are taught in the same way, and not everybody learns the same way. So maybe you don't learn from lectures or from reading books. Do what you got to do to get through the class, and then if it's a subject that you really need to know that applies directly to your career, then you go figure out how you learn and teach yourself. That's another big part of being a professional BSer. Learn how to teach yourself. We all learn very differently. In schools, most schools and most teachers do what they can to appeal to everybody, but let's be real. You got 28 kids in a class. You don't have time to teach 28 different ways. Learning is as unique to an individual as somebody's fingerprint. They teach on a mass, they teach gosh, how can I word this? Y'all get what I'm trying to say now? Damn. Oh, no, wait a minute now. They teach in a way that appeals to a majority of kids so that you can teach a majority of kids. And then if you need a little extra help or if you need hey, they offer some programs. But even after those programs in the clubs and the after school activity, it still might not fit you. You still might not be able to get what you got to get. Figure out how you learn. Sit there in class. Pay attention. And then on your own time, at least look like you paying attention. Look alive. You know what I'm saying? And then go and learn how you need to learn. That way you can stay on the same page with everybody and you're not discouraged. So I want to backtrack a little bit to when I was talking about college and how, especially with the student loans and stuff, and if you really don't have money to go to school and you can get a career without that degree, then by all means, skip that step. Do what you have to do. But college is not just about learning the things of your field or just getting a piece of paper that may or may not get you a job in your field, or a job, period. Okay? That's a big debate. But you have to be, let's be honest, you have to be a certain type of person to not go to college. Now, if you are making the choice not to go. Now, if you cannot get into school for whatever reason, be it financial, academically, transportation wise, whatever. If it's a situation where you can't, then you owe it to yourself to figure out, okay, what am I going to do with my life? Because no, you don't need college for most career paths. Most of the time it comes down to who you know, not always what you know. It's about being at the right place at the right time. But if you have an opportunity to go to school, I mean, look, I went, so biased here, but I say go. If you're on the fence about going and you have the means, whatever that means, to be able to go, go. Because you want to. I also believe in taking a year or two off. There's no need in going and wasting your time, your money, your energy, and your effort to go to school and you're not really in there. Because if you're not really mentally there, you're not getting out of it what you could get out of it, okay? If you are not the type of person who knows how to walk into a room and sell yourself and willing to put in the grind and the time, right out of high school and figure out how to just jump right into your career or different careers and figure out what you want to do. If you know that you're just going to be lazy, if you know that you don't really know where to start, go to school. Even if you just, look, I think if you start, you should finish it. But if you go for a semester and you realize, okay, this ain't for me, at least you tried. And then if you ever want to come back, you have an idea of what you're getting into, right? Don't just not do nothing. If you're not going to college, you got to do something. But if you just willingly choosing not to go to college, I'm going to need for you to have some kind of a plan. It don't have to be a definite plan. It needs to be a plan. What are you going to do with your time? What are you going to do to figure out who you want to be? How are you going to learn yourself? When you're in college, you're around a whole lot of people. Even small colleges. You're around a whole lot of people. You're around a lot of opportunities. You have a chance to do nothing, if nothing else, make relationships. Your peers who have come from surrounding cities, surrounding states, maybe even from overseas, depending on what schools you go to. Yeah, they might be little nerds or goofy or party animals today, but 15 years from now, if you make friends with these people, they might be the person that can take you to the next level in your career. And that's why a lot of people join sororities and fraternities and stuff. And I have my thoughts about those, but yeah, that's another episode. Okay? So it's not just about the classroom being at college. It's everything that happens outside of the classroom. Okay? Going to college, even if you are in a major that you feel like, I don't even know if this is really what I want to do. Because let's be honest, it is it's almost cruel to expect children to know what they want to do with the rest of their life. Especially ones whose parents didn't even let them go out to the club, or parents who wouldn't even let them date. And you want them to know what career they want to have for the rest of their life? Whatever. The point is while you're at school, you are doing something constructive with your time. Right? And you are putting yourself in an environment that is stimulating. And if nothing else, you're making friends. You're meeting teachers and professors, okay? Also, for anybody who's in school or outside of school, whatever you are into at the time, whatever you are planning to be or do with your life, look at people who have done it. And if nobody's done what you've done, find somebody who's done something close to it. See what worked for them, what didn't work, and figure out how to apply it to your situation. So what else can you get out of college? Personal growth. A lot of times college kids live in dorms, or how I lived in an apartment, right? You get to figure out how to live with complete strangers. You learn time management. You learn a lot about yourself, what you like, what you don't like, what kind of people you want to hang around, your beliefs, your morals. And a lot of these things can be learned outside of college. But when you're in college, you know for sure that that time is dedicated not just learning out of a book, but learning you. It's just the study of you. So if you're not going to college for whatever reason, you have to figure out how you can get what you need out of the school of life. Do not be discouraged. It's some people who do really, really want to go to school, and it's just not in the cards for them for whatever reason. But that does not mean that you cannot be as successful, if not more successful, than someone who even went to an Ivy League school. You just have to be willing to put in the time. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to be creative and be ambitious and figure it out. If you really, really want to go, get a job. Take one class at a time. If it's something where academically you can't get in, figure out what you need to do. Go to community college. Do what you need to do. Apply the following semester. Sometimes a lot of people go to community college and take some gen ed. And plus, it's cheaper to do your gen eds and stuff. And I know sometimes credits and stuff don't transfer over, or sometimes whatever. Look, you figure it out. The point is do something. Don't just sit and watch, SpongeBob all day. Next thing, and I talked about I mentioned it, I think, a little bit in the things that you can learn from college. Time management. Okay? Knowing how to manage your time is what makes a profession. That is the essence. That is the core of being a professional BSer. Because the whole point of being a professional BSer is not to try to get away with it. No, it's about how can I use my time the way I want to use my time. What is the best way I can get the most out of my time? Because time is precious. Time is money, right? Time moves quick and it stops for nobody. Okay? Know how long it takes you to do something. Okay? Be honest with yourself. That's where it can turn into procrastination. Here's the fine line. I'm going to go back to school just because we were just talking about school. If you have an assignment, and let's say you have a 10-page paper, the first time you get that 10-page paper assignment, do not, if you've never written a 10-page paper, do not guess how long it's going to take you to do it. I don't care if you know everything it is to know, or you think you know a lot about your topic. If you have not ever written a 10-page paper, do not guess, okay? Start in plenty of time. Start in plenty of time. Start as soon as you get the assignment to get it over with, okay? Time yourself. How long did it take you to research? How long did it take you to type it, revise it? How many drafts did you have to do? How long did it take for it to upload to the server? Okay? How long did it take you to do and then you take all the information. The next time you get a 10-page paper, you have a good idea of how long it's going to take you. That does not mean wait till the last minute. What that means is you know that you need at least that much time. You know that you need at least that much time. And then add a little, make sure you leave some wiggle room and make sure, hey, look, because technology will fail you. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I know a lot of people are like, okay, well, Chanel, that's like college student stuff. How does this apply to other things? How does it apply to anything else? Being a professional BSer is paying attention to how long anything. Pay attention to how long anything takes. Driving from point A to point B. How long does it take you to get gas? How long does it take you to cook certain things? How long does it take to read? Time yourself typing. How long does it take you to do stuff uninterrupted? How long? Don't time yourself if you're gonna be pausing and looking at the TikTok and you're gonna watch a YouTube video. You're gonna have a no. Whatever you do, time yourself doing it undistracted. That way, you know how long something should really take. Especially the first time you do something. The first time you do something, you want to do it with no distractions, nobody around, no TV. Hey, maybe even no music if it's going to distract you. Because what that does is it gives you a true time of how long something takes. So therefore, when you do it again, if a weekly assignment, let's say a weekly assignment from work, not just school, like, oh damn, come on, work with me. If you have something that you have to do every week, right? If 1 week it took you an hour, the next week it took you 3 hours, the week after that it took you 20 minutes. Okay, that's a lot of variation if it's the same damn task. Do y'all follow where I'm going with this? When you time yourself the first time that you do something, or you time yourself doing something without any distractions, and you see how quickly you can actually get something done, oh, you just upped your game. You are going to be more motivated to not have those distractions around. A lot of times we want to turn up, we want the background noise, or we want to do something with stuff with friends or with family because we think it's going to make the time go by quicker. When all you did was add an extra hour and a half to something you could have been done with. Right? Now, that's not to say to isolate yourself. Sometimes people work better with the music, with the show in the background. Sometimes people work better in a group. But make sure it's actually aiding you and not wasting precious time. You know what I'm saying? When you eliminate distractions, you also see how well you work with just you. You learn a lot about yourself. You have to get to a place where you can function with just you. Just your mind. Because the friends, the music, the TV show, that might not always be available. That might not always be on hand. And you might find that if you are completely incompetent or incapable of completing something without 17 distractions, you might find that it's a deeper lying issue there that you might want to address that. Some people suppress emotion. Some people run from trauma. Some people don't want to be alone in the silence. And that's why we have to have so much going on with simple tasks and complicated tasks. Address that. Another thing that I challenge you to time yourself, sit in complete silence. Yeah, no, seriously. Sit in complete silence. Turn everything off. Everything. Your bedroom, on your couch, in the car, just turn it off. Look at the clock when you start. Or if you have your phone by you, which I'm sure you do, set a timer. And then don't look at the clock while you're waiting, because, time takes forever when you're looking at the clock, Start a timer and just sit. And see how long you can be with yourself and be alone with your thoughts. The longer you can sit alone with yourself in silence, the chances are higher that you are in a healthy mental state. If it is unbearable to sit in silence, keep doing it. Do it a little bit more every day until you can see how far you can get. Don't put a time limit on it. See how just do a little bit more every day. If you find that it is unbearable to just sit 5 minutes alone with yourself, if you can't even sit 10 minutes alone by yourself or just in the silence, figure out why you are anxious. Figure out what are you running from? What's overstimulating you? Because that's holding you back. We all know that social media and stuff is designed to keep us on there. Make sure you're not addicted to it. Social media addictions are real, and they're not always as obvious as, say, alcoholism or gambling or any of the other addictions. Just really pay attention. When you get to a place where you can clear your mind and you can just sit in silence and you don't need anything and you have peace of mind just existing, that's a good feeling. And that's where you want to be, and you owe it to yourself to be able to get to that point. Amen. I challenge y'all to do that. The last thing I want to say about being a professional BSer is use it for good. Use it, yes, to better yourself. Use it to help others. But it is not something, it's not plotting and scheming and half-assing. No, whatever you do in life, you need to give it your all. It's about figuring out what deserves your all. You seek out loopholes and you figure out yes, you seek out the easier way to do something, but not for the sake of it being easy. It's because you did the research. It's because you took the time to figure out what was hard and what's easy for you. What's beneficial for you. We still want to expand our minds. We don't want to just take the easy way out because we don't want to try. No, that's not what it's about. We still want to hustle, and you're not afraid to work hard. You just want to make sure you're not doing double work, and you want to make sure that you're not being prideful. Somebody probably already did what you did And a lot of times we think, well, we know better, or I don't feel like looking that up. You could have looked it up and been done in 5 minutes. But because I don't like reading instructions, it took you an hour to do it. That's not a professional BSer. A professional BSer is going to be like, no, I don't want to read the instructions, but I am going to put on this 5-minute YouTube video, and I'm going to do each step at a time and pause it. So that way, yeah, you skipped having to read and interpret the instructions. And that's how you learn. And it is easier for you to read the instructions. But if you're somebody like, that's not how I learn, more of a visual learner. Instead of you sitting there for an hour, 2 hours trying to put the damn baby crib together, I can do this, I'm just going to figure it out. No, you go and you find the YouTubes, or you ask somebody who already had the baby crib. Hey, you got that same baby crib? Hey, how'd you put that together? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, this is what you got to do. Know when to ask for help. Swallow your pride. Do not be prideful. Okay? We all gonna be some finesses, some professional BSers over here. You know what I'm saying? Be engaged. Okay? With conversation. See what you can get from people in a positive way. Not, come on now. Stick with me. If you are somewhere and you don't know what somebody's talking about, just look, don't be afraid to ask questions, but also just, it goes back to building the relationship. I know I'm joking back and forth, but y'all smart. I know y'all woo-woo, you know? Just make sure that when you are talking to people, when you sitting in on lectures and stuff, don't disengage with someone, just because you never know. Hey, down the line, you never know what that relationship may aid in. Be kind to people. If people talk to you in the store, just always be nice. You never know who you're talking to. You never know who you're talking to. You're having a bad day, man, just learn how to push that down. Because the one time you might be rude to somebody, damn, that was somebody that, you know. I can go on, and I have. And if y'all want to know more about professional BS, if y'all want more specific details, please let me know. Find me on my other social media, and let's keep the conversation going. And let me know. I can create a whole nother podcast on professional BS, you know what I'm saying? So before we go, you know what we have to do. We have to talk about the music of the week. And somebody that I recommend that we listen to. Y'all ready for it? Bad Baby. Yep, I said it. Bad Baby. I am a Bad Baby fan. Hello. If you are not familiar, Bad Baby is a rapper, a young female rapper, and some of you are more familiar with her from the theme that more familiar with the meme that came out so many years ago now. With Dr. Phil, and she was the little girl who said, "Catch me outside, how about that?" Well, she is a grown young lady now, and she has some great rap music. And just a little history lesson on that, a lot of these female rappers who are out today, who are popping because they did songs with Bad Baby, okay? One of those rappers I'm referring to is Megan Thee Stallion, okay? Yes, Meg Thee Stallion did a song with Bad Baby a few years ago, and after that, she blew up. I bring that up because a lot of people like to rag on Bad Baby because she is Caucasian. She is Caucasian, and, you know, with rap, you know, it's our people, so we're a little protective of it, you know? But the little girl's good. Well, the young lady, I'm called little girl. Shit, I'm 30 and she's 18. But so, little girl to me. But she's good and she's talented. And it's just really sad, but she's going to have her moment. Don't get me wrong, the girl's successful. She out here popping. But it is discouraging and sad to see so many people harp on her because she was a meme all those years ago. And it's just, what white female rappers do we have for real? It's just a tough mold to break, and you gotta give the little girl credit where the credit is due. Like I said, a lot of these female rappers, they got popping because of her fan base. And record labels do and say things that keep these artists from being able to do and say things. And it would be nice to see the artists who blew up after doing songs with Bad Baby. It would be nice to see them, bring her along. But what are we going to do? We're going to go check out the Bad Baby. I hope that y'all enjoy that. Let me know what your favorite Bad Baby song is. If you haven't listened to, let me know what you check out. I can make some recommendations. Reach out to me. You know what I'm saying? The little girl is talented. We wish her much success. There is room for everybody, including Danielle Bergoli, aka Bad Baby. So that is it for this episode 3 of the Nellyville podcast. I'm really impressed that y'all listened all the way to the end. So I will see you next week. Follow me on my socials. Find me on YouTube. New videos every week. And I will talk to you next time.
What you know about it? Out some money. What you know about it? I don't need no receipts. I see it, I own it, I play for keeps. Don't tell me the price don't matter to me. What I spend in a day, you make in a week. They keep going up like a money tree. Shopping these deals like a money spree. Can't get you the gang, gotta charge a fee. Queen of racks.